They took my father at night, and the white men watched from the car without helping. ***. That is the part one still see when I close my eyes. My name does not matter. I am still alive, and that alone is a risk. I am writing this because people say stories from Africa are always about spirits and magic. This one is not. This one happened. It happened to my village, to my family, and to me. I grew up in a small kingdom near the river. We had one king. He had ruled since before I was born. When I was a child, people feared him, but they also respected him. He settled land fights. He punished thieves. Life was hard, but it was fair enough. Everything changed when the Westerners came. They arrived in clean cars that never touched mud. They wore long-sleeve shirts in the heat. They spoke through translators and smiled too much. They said they were here to help us grow. They said they wanted to build roads, schools, and clinics. They said our king was lucky. The king believed them. At first, nothing bad happened. Then the guards increased. Then new laws came. Then people started to disappear. I was 22 when I started working as a clerk in the king's storehouse. I counted bags of grain and barrels of oil. I wrote numbers in books. That is how I saw things others did not see. The Western men met the king at night. Always at night. Their cars would come after sunset. No drums. No greeting horns. Just engines and silence. The next morning, new orders would come. One law said no one could fish in the river without permission. Another law said farmers must sell their crops only to the king's agents. Another law said protests were evil and punishable. The king said these rules were for progress. But progress for who? The Westerners built one tall fence near the forest. Inside it, machines ran day and night. They dug the ground and pulled out dark liquid and shiny stones. They paid the king. He paid the guards. The guards paid themselves. The people got nothing. When villagers complained, the king said they were enemies of growth. The Westerners nodded. They said nothing. My father was a quiet man. He farmed yams. He believed if you stayed small, power would not notice you. He was wrong. One evening, he went to the river without a permit. He needed water for the crops. A guard saw him. That night, boots came to our door. I remember my mother shaking. I remember my little sister crying into my shirt. I remember my father standing straight. The guards did not shout. They did not explain. They tied his hands and pushed him outside. Across the road, a white car was parked. The engine was running. Inside it, I saw two Western men. One was looking at his phone. The other looked straight ahead. I ran toward the car and shouted. Please. He did nothing. One of the guards hit me with the butt of his gun. I fell. When I looked up, the car was already moving. That was the last time I saw my father. The next day, the king announced that rebels had been arrested. He warned that more arrests would come. No one mentioned names. Weeks passed. Then months. Bodies started to wash up near the river. They were bloated. Some had rope marks. Some had broken teeth. The guards said they were criminals. The Westerners said nothing. In the village, old people started telling stories again. They said the king had eaten something bad. They said foreign money had poisoned his blood. They said when a king forgets his people, the land remembers. I did not believe in curses. I believed in power and greed. One night, I was called to the storehouse late. The king wanted records. When I arrived, the Westerners were there. Maps were spread on the table. They pointed at villages, including mine. One of them said, "This area is resisting." The king's face was hard. "Clear it." I knew then my village was marked. I ran home before dawn. I told my mother and sister to leave. We packed nothing. We walked into the forest while it was still dark. By noon, smoke rose behind us. From the hill, I watched soldiers enter the village. Houses burned. People ran. Some fell and did not get up. Above it all, a helicopter circled. It was not ours. It belonged to the Western Company. That sound still lives in my head. We hid for days. When we returned, the village was gone. Just ash and silence. The king went on the radio and said rebels had been defeated. The Westerners released a statement about stability. At night, I dreamed of my father standing by the river, calling my name. A year later, the king fell sick. His skin broke out in sores. His voice failed. The same guards who once dragged people away now refused to touch him. The Westerners stopped visiting. They left quietly, with their machines and their money. The king died alone. People say justice came. I do not agree. My father did not come back. My village did not rise again. Sometimes, when the wind blows from the forest, I hear engines and boots and that helicopter sound. This is not a story about magic. This is what happens when power listens more to strangers than to its own people.
Thank you for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel.